This is how we bewitch those that would have recently graduated. How are you, Brother Nashim? I ask for you to hide my identity. I am a 56-year-old woman, and I have come here to confess my sins, the sins that I have committed in my life, because I am afraid that I might die anytime soon, and I do not want to die whilst I am living in this kind of a sin, because those that I used to work with that are also witches, they died in sin, and every night I hear their voices, and they will be telling me that where they are right now, they are suffering. They are still waiting for the appointed time for them to start burning in hell. But they are telling me that they are in a place where it is not nice at all. And I just want to repent, but where to start, I really do not know. There are people that think that a person does evil because you are born as an evil person. But as for my story, it did not start out that way. I changed gradually due to pain and jealousy is the school of witchcraft and being angry. I got married at a young age. I got married to a man that I loved very much. Even though we were a poor people, but we were happy. When I became pregnant with our first child, I looked forward to a good life. I used to walk around proudly because I thought that this child was going to build a future. But at that time, I was a short-tempered person. I had some unresolved bitterness due to what my stepdad used to do to me. He never penetrated me, but he would touch me in inappropriate places that you're not supposed to do with your own daughter. So I always had that bitterness because when I told my mom about this, my mom chose not to believe it. And she just said, your stepdad, when he is drunk, he can do things, even though it does not mean to do those things anyway. So I never told my husband that I was coming from a place of bitterness. When I became pregnant with our first child, my life was complete by then. I never wanted to be around a lot of people. I was very social awkward. If someone would hurt me, even if they asked for forgiveness, then I will just insult them. There was one day I had returned back from buying things in town. I was carrying bags of groceries and I was 7 months pregnant. I was very tired. Standing at the taxi rank, I was waiting for the taxi to go back to the location. Then there was this elderly grandmother. She was old. She was walking and she stepped on my bag. There were 3 loaves of bread inside, and she just left without even apologizing. So she was about 5 meters from where we were standing. I was furious. I started to insult that woman in front of everyone. That woman then said, "My child, I'm sorry because I have short eyesight. I did not see you." To which I replied, "To hell with your eyesight. I am not your daughter." Everyone was just like, "How?" That woman just looked at me and she continued on her way. I then boarded the taxi without even thinking about anything. But what I started to notice was that from that day going onwards, things started to change. My baby started moving less in my womb. My baby used to be so active a lot. My baby was active so much, but from that day, my baby stopped being that much active. I eventually gave birth to a son that had a severe illness. The doctor said that he was going to struggle to grow up like other kids. So I was always at the clinic because he would suffer from different kind of diseases. If it was season for flu, he was the first one and the last one to have it. Because my husband, he never wanted to be around our son because he was born so weak. My husband, he started to change. We were always arguing. As the child grew a little, my child was unable to do anything. I used to put some pillows and he would sit on the pillow whilst he was hanging by the burglar bar watching other kids playing outside. He would ask me, Mom, when will it be time for me to run like that boy? I lacked answer. I could not answer him. How was I going to answer him? My husband, he started drinking more and more alcohol. He would always come back home late. We were always arguing. If I would try to hear where he would have been all that time, he would say, No, do not disturb me. I want to rest. He would refuse to hold the baby. If it happened that somehow he had to hold the baby, you could see that he's just holding the baby, but he does not want to have any kind of a bond with his own son, which made me to feel so terrible as a mother. It was something that I never wanted to see my son lacking fatherly love. My husband eventually he started to spend a lot of time with my friend. At first, I would not want to believe it, but one day I caught them in our bedroom together, making love. A few months later, my husband completely left me. I was deeply hurt when I later heard that he was now staying with that evil friend of mine. I think this was the point when that good person inside of me died. My heart was full of jealousy. I left my son with my mom in the rural areas, and then I went to Gauteng to work as a maid. And my mom, she was staying in the location whilst I was working as a stay-in maid. So it then happened that one day, I and some other maids, we were sitting in a park whilst we were watching the white children playing that we were taking care of. I then started to share my story with this other woman. She was quite old as well. She actually had grandkids. She also worked as a maid. So as we were talking, she then said to me, Do not worry, my child, but I want to have a meeting with you tonight. So when she said that she wanted to have a meeting with me on that night, I thought that maybe she wanted me to come to the place where she was staying, then we can talk. So I asked her, what time was I supposed to come to a workplace? And was I supposed to knock? Was I supposed to call her? But she said, You will see, we're going to have a meeting. As we were living with the kids of our bosses, she then said, Oh, my child, when you go to bed, I want you to take your t-shirt or a shirt, then you wear it the inside out when you go to sleep. Do not forget this. I did not understand what she meant by that, but at night, after I had finished doing the dishes, cleaning after my bosses had gone to bed, then that was when I went to my room. I was having a back room. And in the middle of the night, somehow I was still awake. I was unable to sleep. I then felt as if something was moving on top of the roof. As I was sleeping, then I started to drift away in sleep, and in a dream, I saw myself in a place that was full of elderly women. Two of them were maids. I used to see them every day, including that woman that had said that tonight we are going to have a meeting. They welcomed me. They were standing underneath a tree, but their faces, they had two faces. It seemed as if they were like cats, like wild cats. I was scared at them, but at the same time, I was amazed at the way that they were. They seemed so scary. I did not know that this was me being initiated in my sleep into witchcraft. So that is how I became a witchcraft. After that, years passed. These women, they taught me how to use charms against a person that would have hurt me, against a person that I did not want to succeed. Even against my own bosses, I would use charms against them. I began to take revenge on people from my past that had wronged me. The first target that I bewitched, it was that friend of mine that had stolen my husband. So she collapsed whilst she was working. She was working at a restaurant and she had a seizure. She collapsed and she died. In the meantime, I was watching her through a monitoring spirit, which was a cat that was my child that I had been given by those women that initiated me into witchcraft. She died on the ambulance whilst she was being taken to the hospital. After that, I used some charms to make my husband to return. My husband, I wanted to punish him. I never loved him anymore, but I just wanted to punish him because of the things that he had done to me. So when he came back, I made him to become like my zombie. When I wanted to sleep with a guy, I would just bring that man into the house and my husband would not even dare ask even a question. Obviously, I was not going to disrespect him and to be in the bedroom with another man. I would sleep in another room, but my husband knew that this was what I was doing. And he had no power at all over me because I had made him to be like a zombie to me. My son grew until I could not keep him at home anymore. Even though I had my husband back, but I could not fix my son. As my son grew up, we failed him to get him into many schools due to his special needs. One day, there was a certain teacher that had promised me that she will do whatever that she can so that the application can be okay. But that teacher rejected the application. And when she did this, she just said it in front of other teachers and she walked away when I had gone to that school to hear if they had approved the application. This made me to be so sad. That night, I met with my friends. We held a meeting. I told them that I was tired of seeing other people's children whilst they were succeeding and my child could not even go into a proper primary school. I started to ask for help when we were at the meeting with those other witches. So they said that they were going to assist me. That is how I started to bewitch, and we would target young people who would have graduated even from top universities. I was targeting specifically the kids from my own neighborhood as well as from the village where I grew up. If they sent CV, things will get confused for them. If they had an interview, they will be late. If they had a phone call, the network would fail and received a missed call. If they arrived at a company, security would chase them away. So I was doing this out of bitterness. Then came 2016, after so many years of witchcraft. There was this other girl, whom I'll call Nomsa. We crossed paths, and she was someone that had been raised by a grandmother, and she was the first person in a family to graduate from a university. We said this one, she was not supposed to succeed. For the first interview, the taxi that she was on gave her trouble and she missed that interview. For the second, the email would just vanish and we were monitoring him using our monitoring spirit. But what we did not know was that she had God that was on her side. So a story that we later learned when we were being assisted by another Sangoma, when I was taking my friends to visit Sangomas because they were really sick. The story was that Nomsa's grandfather had once gone to prison where he passed away. Whilst he was in prison for attempted murder, that was when he met Jesus Christ and repented. He then prayed a prayer for God to remember his children and his grandchildren to open the doors that were not open. So this child, the fact that she had broken the curse of the generation that everyone will fail to get past matric, she went to university. So we tried by all means to send our cat to monitor him but she was always praying. My friends, they started to say that they did not want to get themselves involved anymore. I still remember that meeting that we had at night. My friends said that they were tired. They did not want to continue bewitching this girl because our monitoring spirits, they were even telling us that this girl, with her prayers, it was proving to be very difficult for them to even attack her in her sleep spiritually. But because of the bitterness that I had, I still continued to ask my friends to help me. And since we were a sisterhood of witches, we were bound to assist each other. Then that was when we finally said we had to go to her house and to bury at least something. We were supposed to bury some charms. That this charm, it was going to assist our topologist to enter into her house, to spiritually sleep with her, thereby weakening her. When we went there, the very next morning, that was when I heard one of my friends. I was called by her daughter who said that mom is sick this side. They rushed her to the hospital and she got a stroke. That is how she passed away. I had one of my friend that was from Mozambique. She was also into witchcraft. The funny thing that happened was the day that she was planning to return back to Mozambique, that was the day that she died from an unexplained illness. She just fell sick from a terrible headache. The next thing we heard that she was in a mortuary. And my other friend as well, she had a car accident. I was left all alone. And when I was left alone, I still continued trying to bewitch this girl because I just wanted to test my satanic powers on this girl. But then this girl, she had a revelation. She noticed that there was this cat that would always jump into the yard at the same time in her grandmother's yard. Always, that cat will always jump into the yard. So this was like her own form of a revelation that her God was giving to him. And she started to pray. She just felt this urgency, the need to pray. And she went to her pastor. As they were praying, I started to feel this burning sensation that could not go away. I even took a bucket that was full of icy cold water, trying to feel a little bit better, but it did not change anything. So, Brother Nashim, then I stopped. I stopped at that time trying to bewitch this girl because I just discovered that she had overpowered my satanic powers. After I had stopped bewitching this girl, my son was hit by a go back to sender because she would pray against me. And then I was hit by a go back to sender. It did not come to me, but it attacked my son. As I'm speaking with you right now, my son has reached a critical situation. He can't speak anymore. I am asking for advice. I want to go to church. I do not know which church I can go to. Should I go to the prophetic churches? Should I go to the apostolic church? Or I should look maybe for a Pentecostal church who can pray for me so that they can cleanse me from the spirit of witchcraft. Yo, dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to us by one of our admin who helped us with this translation. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. Let us talk about this in the comment section. Do you think that if she goes to an apostolic church, she can be assisted, or she is supposed to go to a Pentecostal church? If you think that after university you will be bewitched by someone, you can come to our inbox and then you can share with us your own side of the story, telling us why you think that you were bewitched after you had graduated. Let us meet again in the following episode.